Okay, we are back live. Sorry for the difficulties. We are waiting for a friend of mine, an advocate of the prison systems, Dawn Bryant, to come on and fill us in on a rally that she is organizing, her and companions, against the abuse in the prison system. So we are waiting on her, and then we will start this live. Okay. All right. Let's see here. All right. Sorry about the confusion. I should have clarified more. We had people logging on, but like I said, I didn't know enough about this topic. So this is going to be posted on YouTube anyway, so don't really worry about there being viewers right now. But why don't you introduce yourself first and just tell us like a little bit about yourself and your purpose in all of this.
Um, I've had longtime friends in the system. Um, my oldest son's father was incarcerated at Greensville Correctional. I don't think that things were as bad back then when he was locked
Greensville,
up, but I
just real quick, because a lot of my viewers are out Pennsylvania. So Greensville, that is in Virginia.
that's in Virginia.
Okay,
That's where I am.
okay.
I'm not near either of those prisons right now, but yeah, Greensville is kind of notorious now for like drugs, and they just fired 3 COs. Um, But the funny thing is that Wallens Ridge and Red Onion are worse. Red Onion is in Wise County, it's in Pound, and Wallens Ridge is in Big Stone Gap. Those are both in
Okay.
Virginia. And they are known for brutality, like brutality of the worst order, brutality that you wouldn't even think would be going on this day and age.
From the COs,
Um,
right? To correctional officers, I'm assuming, or
yeah,
inmate on inmate, or both. Okay.
it's COs primarily. And if it's inmate on inmate, that is they're setting it up generally. They do things like um, set people up. Like if they don't like you and you're getting on their nerves, they'll make it so like a gang member can get access to you. But they're on lockdown so much that it's hard for them to actually have like people, adults in custody, actually fighting each other unless they want them to. So
I have experience with that, with COs doing that as well, using it for their own personal, as their own personal hitman, and giving certain incentives, and prisoners going, against each other for that reason, which I don't support. So right now you are organizing a rally, am I correct?
yeah, I got involved because of the Al-Jazaris. The Al-Jazaris have their brother incarcerated for 2 years in a jail over something that he didn't do. And since then, I've kind of like taken a deep dive into the DOC and seen what's going on in our state and in other states, and they're all pretty bad. But it's like in Virginia, they'll keep you alive, but they may brutalize you. Hey, Kevin. Kevin's on here watching. Kevin's helping organize the rally. Kevin's in another
Okay.
state as well.
Okay, awesome.
But
Thank you, Kevin, from, like I said, ex-prisoner. Thank you on behalf of all the prisoners, past and present. But okay, continue.
Kevin is one of the people that has gotten accounts of abuse and helped them get out to the public because they're really good at suppressing people. Like just in the past month, even since the reports have come out, they've said no mail out of CPOD and things like that. So they don't mind breaking like federal law as far as like keeping the abuse under wrap. But it's been in the news that like more than 6 people have burned themselves. My friend April, who's helping host the rally. So I started a small advocacy group called Can Virginia, and that's for all types of advocacy because I have friends that are involved in different kinds of things, but we've had like a real focus on criminal justice reform lately because that's where the really big need is. And then I'm on you know me from American Felon, which is
Yes.
just about supporting um, adults in custody inside to the outside, and then James is trying to help felons so that they can build their own business, so that they have no need to commit crimes when they get back out. Um, but yeah, Kevin has helped get the stories out, and then I mean, it's really bad things. Like they set up rapes. Like I've heard from a mom that she heard the people saying like basically show your junk to use the phone, like in the past month. Um,
And that's the
one of
COs telling them to show it to the COs themselves, like show me,
yeah,
and then you can get
yeah,
on the phone. And
because it's actually kind of regular for them to have to show all of their body because every time they leave the cell, they have them stripped completely. Which that alone is kind of crazy to me. I don't think that's necessary. I mean,
these
they're in a
maximum security prison, is it a maximum security because it's common to
It's a
maximum
super
security?
max. It's a
Yeah,
super max, but the thing is, we want them shut down because we don't need the super
right.
maxes. I know like 5 people that have been released from there in the past few years, one or the other, and none of them did any super crazy super max crimes. And then I FOIA requested all the classification levels, and they said they had like 100 people who need to be, well, that's just, I just did it for Red Onion, but like 100 people who need to be in a supermax. But the thing is, I don't even believe their classification levels because we also hear all the time about them writing fake charges on people. So,
Write-ups as far as in the prison.
yeah.
Okay.
And they even, like my friend April, her son has mental health issues that have been made much worse. At least 60% and up to 85% of the people there are in solitary confinement all the time. So
I
that's,
was going to ask you that. So
yeah,
supermax generally is like a 23 in one situation. You're in the cell for like 23 hours or 22 hours and you're out the rest, an hour to a day. Is that how it is there as far
yeah,
as your knowledge? Or
yeah.
so that's
I believe they are breaking the law. I need to double check that, but I believe the governor signed into law last year that they have to have 4 hours out if they're in segregation anyway. They have to have 4 hours out between, like, you can go to rec, you can get a shower, you can do this, you can go to the library. They have to have the option of 4 hours out, but they're not doing it.
oh, that's
um
so in
yeah.
PA, right? I don't know if you guys got this. I thought it was countrywide. We have like what's called D-stability for like people with mental health, severe mental health disorders. And they have to have at least 20 hours out of in the hole. And the hole is equal to supermax. So if you're in the hole because of the reports that are coming out and the studies and how it's affecting people negatively, their mental health, coming out of prison, coming out of these places when you're in solitary confinement. It's like you're locking a dog in. That's how they train dogs to fight. This is how they train dogs on the street. They lock them in a closet. They keep them from social interactions. This has a profound effect on the psyche. So at least Pennsylvania, like I said, I thought it was countrywide. Like if you're in the hole or you're in it like a max, like you have to be allotted out a certain amount of hours a week, which was 20 hours in the hole if you have a serious mental health disorder or any type of symptoms. Is there anything that you're aware of in Virginia that because that's crazy. If you have mental health disorders, you should not be locked down that much because it's only going to,
Make it worse.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like the opposite. It's more like from what I'm hearing, I'm not there, but it seems like what they tend to do is to punish people that have mental health disorders. Like they look at mental health behaviors as misbehavior. They don't
Behavioral.
even fact they don't factor in people's diagnoses because I have a friend that just got out of there and he has schizoaffective, and he was in supermax. He had no phone calls for the last 2 years that he was there. um he would be able to communicate with his family by screaming to someone else, and then they would tell his mom what he was saying or writing. But that's ridiculous. um and he's one of the people that burned himself. And it's hearing his story has made me even more motivated because I'm like, this should not be. We've known all of this stuff is very wrong and very um inhumane for over 100 years. Like there's tons of studies from the 70s and 80s about solitary, and so why are we still using it?
Was
And
discontinued for a while. Yeah, they stopped
they have
using
a
it for a while.
program there called Step Down, and it's for people that are in the hole. And it's really like damaging because it's, as people try to do it, they get worse and worse because they can't do it. because they're, even like the World Health Organization has ruled that over 15 days is torture. So it's like they can't complete the program, so then they're stuck in the program for longer. Um,
And we're
I was
talking
talking to one lady.
months, years, or something. I know that can go on for years. I know people in Pennsylvania. I'm sure it's the same in Virginia. For the people that haven't been in prison, this can go on for like countless months and even years. Correct? I'm assuming the same in Virginia.
Yeah, one man there, he was in there for 600 days, so just under 2 years, and he came out and he couldn't speak anymore. He could only speak like in numbers, and he was barking, like he just totally lost his mind. But I mean, that's kind of a typical result. And then I talked to a lady this week. Her son is there. Her uncle also went there. And her son is innocent, for one thing. For another thing, her uncle, I guess he was supposed to be there, but her
Small
uncle
children.
was in solitary there for 17 years.
17.
17 years. And she said that when he came home, he would just be walking the streets for like 5 hours a night. He would just be talking about, personas that weren't there. Like he just was not functional. And I guess over time he's gained a little bit of functionality back. But she said they all just knew that it was from what he was subjected to there. And we know better. We're just allowing these like crazy white supremacists to go unchecked and, run the prisons however they want. I mean, a lot of people have compared it to the Stanford experiment. I don't know if you've ever watched that or read about that.
I have.
Okay. Yeah, we kind of went over that in my psych classes. And basically, it's like if you put people in charge and you say, you're the guards, it was a study they did with like college kids.
Yeah.
But it's like if you say you're the guards and you're the prisoners, um, and just let it play out. And after like 3 days, they had people that were in the CO role abusing people. But it's like Wallens Ridge and Red Onion are like that, and they've been getting away with it. I think now with the technology, they're not able to just like it's a faster response time, and they're not able to just pull the wool over everyone's eyes over and over like maybe they used to be able to.
Right.
And and I don't know, and I think it's also like dedication of people inside, um, like Rashid Johnson. He can be a little rough to the public because he's so frustrated, but he went on a 71-day hunger strike, and almost died. And Kevin was advocating for him at that point, and he was sent to the hospital. They still kept him in solitary at the hospital. Then he was sent to Kansas as a retaliation through the Interstate Compact Agreement, and then he was sent back. And then finally, they put him in a different prison. They got like a human rights group with a lawyer involved, and she was able to get a deal to get him out of there. But it's like, I certainly have never been on a 71-day hunger strike for anything. And and to feel the need to do that, and then people are burning themselves because that's the only way to get out of there is to be transferred to the burn unit.
Okay, when you say burn, I'm sorry, they just like little burns on their arms, or like are they like lighting their cell on fire? No, in Pennsylvania, we'll have guys light the cell on fire, the mattresses. Is it how severe is it? Can you give us some examples, like specifically, like paint the picture? The audience
I
needs to hear
don't
that.
think I don't think they've really set their cells on fire because I think that the COs would know by that point, but it's like they've deliberately burned themselves, like chunks of their body burnt. Um, my one friend, I don't think he would mind me saying, he showed me his two parts of his leg that are burned, and he has big skin grafts covering like his calf and part of his thigh, where he deliberately burned himself to get sent to VCU because that's the only way to get out of there and let people know what's going on. This is a person with like the phone restrictions, mental
Mhm.
health issues. I mean, he shouldn't have even ever been there. He should have been in a mental health type prison. He should
Right.
have never been in regular lockup like that. And that's what, I don't know if you saw the one letter that we've been circulating around, but it was by a white guy. I'm friends with his girlfriend.
Okay.
And he was saying that what he sees is the people that are getting beaten are like primarily black men with mental health conditions.
It's it's a shame.
So,
And
yeah,
what people don't take into consideration, like we're in the prison, right? Like when we were going through like similar, it's like, well, we got a grievance process. Well, who are you giving the grievances to? You're in a cell, locked down in a hole, and you're giving it to the same coworkers or the same people that are abusing you. Do you think they're going to file paperwork on themselves? We need people like you doing this that are advocating for us on the outside because without it, they get their total control. People are leaving in body bags, and I don't know how severe it is there or now. This is years ago, but and that's the reality that people don't understand. Well, why don't they say something to somebody? Maybe they're thinking like they got control. They're not going to tell on themselves.
right.
It's a messed up position to be in.
But at the same time, we're really frustrated because the leadership of the prison, it's so locked down and they have so much technology. They have cameras everywhere. So it's like if they wanted to figure out what's going on and who's abusing people and who's taking grievances and shredding them, they could easily just pull the cameras. Um, and Kevin is saying details of they were sent to the burn unit at VCU and they used hair gel on an electrical outlet and it was serious
Immolation.
self-immolation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were making a serious attempt to burn their own body so that it was serious enough that they would have to be sent out. And my friend that I'm talking about, he burned himself and then they didn't do anything. They didn't give him any treatment. And then a person was on the grounds that didn't even work there. They were like an outside contractor, like a groundskeeper. They saw the burns and they called his family
Oh,
and they were like,
okay.
your son is there and he has untreated burns and they're not doing anything. So then his family and advocates got involved and started like being like, what is going on? And finally they sent him. And it's just really bad. I kind of want to leave some of his story for him to tell. Um, but he says if James says if it were that easy to pull the cameras there, it would be a lot more grievances filed. Well, no, it is that easy to pull the cameras. They just don't want to acknowledge it. They're covering it up. Like Dotson, this is what we've found out as we've been researching, like, why is this being allowed to go on? The head of GOC in Virginia, the VADOC director, he has like 60 direct family members working at Red Onion and then more at Wallens Ridge
Wow.
because it's like these two hill country areas where what I did is I chat GPT'd who are the founding families. And then it's like 3 families each area. And then those families are all intermarried and they're all related to Dotson and they're related to Robinson, who's like the second in command of DOC. So
Okay. In Virginia.
this is
Oh,
why they're just ignoring it because they're all related. They're just covering up for each other.
that's common in these places. A certain percentage of the workers in the prison have to be from the surrounding. I think it's like 80%. Like I said, I don't know if that's just our state, has to be from the surrounding area. So that is the community. And you're usually in the hills, and they're stereotypically racist areas,
Right.
so that doesn't help. We're
The
judged as
problem is that we're trying to make them adhere to their own standard, which is that the policy is that you can't work with direct family.
Mhm.
So in order for them to follow that policy, they'd probably have to spread out um, the people that work at Red Onion to every facility in the state, and they'd still probably have leftover people that can be employed at VADOC. So we want to make them follow their own
Right.
policy that they're already supposed to be following. And even I'm not sure how we're going to apply that to Chadwick Dotson, but he isn't supposed to be supervising his own family members. So we need to figure out who are his direct family members, and he can't be supervising them. So I don't know if that means they need to resign or he needs to resign. But either way, right now the whole system is in conflict with its own policy.
Yeah. As
So
That's
yeah,
common across every prison I've been at. Every prison, they do not, and when it comes to, like you said, bringing up the cameras, they know the way around these things. There's blind spots. There's ways to do it. There's, just like when they feed you an empty tray, they give you in a tray with no food on it, but you can't see because there's a lid on it. They know the tricks of the trade. And then if it
Right.
does come down to a situation where the evidence would be in our favor, that's when there's a lapse in the camera, or I didn't see it, or this or that, it was malfunctioning. There's always an excuse for it because we've been in them positions and we've had strong cases against COs doing this or that, and that's always the case. It's very rarely right in front of the camera while getting past her, a CO grabbed my private area, and I filed a PREA, prison rape elimination action on him, and they said the footage couldn't see him. It's directly on camera. It never works in our favor. It's just a very difficult position to be in. I think it was, who was this said, oh, so Kevin said because of yours, specifically Dawn's advocacy, a lot more body cameras are being implemented and worn. That's good. Thank you for that as well. That's what they need. They need, I don't know if it's possible for a body camera to last the whole shift, but they need consistent, because they can turn them on and off. They need,
And the whole facility has cameras, so it's like, but then they have their ways of piling their bodies in front of the cameras. So that's why body cameras are more ideal for sure. And
yeah,
Kevin's saying it's me, but really Kevin has been the one to directly interact with AICs. And then April too, because April's son was at Red Onion. Now he's at Wallens Ridge, but some people got her phone number, so they were able to contact her and let her know what's going on with them. So then it's like we now have like this collection of people reaching out, and we don't even have all the stories. There's other people desperately trying to reach out to other orgs. Like people are just reaching out to whoever they think can help, and we're all just trying to do what we can. But I think the key is we have to keep the pressure on them and make it very uncomfortable.
yeah,
And I want these supermaxes shut down because, for one, we don't need them.
right,
For two, they they don't take it seriously. Like I think the culture there is so dark, and like it's just been bad the whole time. I don't see how they're ever going to just change it. I feel like, why don't they take those prisons and make them into an Amazon warehouse or a homeless shelter or something that could
that
be used for
benefits
good?
society.
Yeah,
Yeah.
instead of what's going on there. Because right now I think there's a motivation. There's a contract between VCE and VADOC. VCE is Virginia Correctional Enterprises. And there's a contract that says that they have to keep all of VADOC facilities 95% full. Kevin's saying
Oh,
something
so
here.
it's privatized then. What am I?
Um, I mean, in a sense, I think every DOC facility is privatized. They don't all look like that on the front end,
Right.
but I believe that they all are making people in offices money. So that's a that's a thing. But we just need to find like a better way to make money, not off of locking people up. Let
Eh,
me see what Kevin said right here. When a mob of officers brutalized Demetrius and used handcuffs as brass knuckles to punch him in the face, the camera was broken at the time. How convenient. How
Uh,
convenient.
I've seen that they put the handcuffs in, and I actually had my latest case was because when I was in a state hospital, it triggered me because of when a CO was holding his a worker there, a psych tech was holding his keys like that, and it triggered me because I thought they were going to assault me because that's how they do in state prisons. They put the handcuffs in between like brass knuckles, and they just punch you in the head. And I've
Oh
seen
no.
20 COs ganging up on somebody, some of them using that. So, all right, you say they don't need supermax, but what about when they argue on the other side? And I've been there, so obviously I have my strong. I'm with you, But what about the people that say, well, what about the ones that are very dangerous, that are very violent, the inmates that are causing problems, that are getting kicked out of prisons, maybe stabbing people or stabbing COs? Like, what is the resolution? Like, because
Well, the
we
thing is, we really don't have a lot of that. It's more like the people that get sent there, like, I don't even think all of their level 5 classifications are valid. But level 5 is the majority of the people there. And so those people would all be fine in a regular maximum security scenario
right,
anyway. So then I don't even think all those level 5 classifications are valid, because what they're doing is if you file a grievance and they don't like it, you're getting on their nerves, they just up your classification. They just get into a conflict with you and then say, you caused it. They just write fake grievances on people like frequently. So I think there's a motivation. This is what I was trying to say about the supermaxes. I think there's a motivation to create supermax prisoners.
right,
So in a we need to keep it the other way, where people are working their way down. So if there just
Exactly.
aren't supermaxes, I think the people that are in the small minority that would actually classify for a supermax could be in the more secure areas of the other maximum prisons. I mean, the thing is, I was reading that in 2017 and 2018, there were 11,000 more people in VADOC's system than there are now. So to me, that means that we could absorb those people at other facilities just fine.
Right.
You know, and if they feel like they can't, they need to figure that out. I still think they need to shut down. Um,
Supermax. And isn't
yeah,
the goal supposed to be rehabilitation? I
yeah,
mean, like, come on,
yeah,
putting people in this type of environment, it messes with you. And people say, all right, people got to be punished for their crimes. And prison is punishment enough. You're kept away from your family. You're restricted from all life's luxuries. And then how do you want to prepare these people, us, uh, 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 to go back into society? How are we going to acclimate? We're not prepared because they're destroying us mentally, throwing us back into society and expecting us to survive. I came home, I went back upstate maybe 4 or 5 times, not because I had any type of malicious or intent or criminal well, it was criminal thinking. I just didn't realize I was so institutionalized. I didn't correct my thing. It took me to like really sit there and that's not common. People don't know how to do this because we're not prepared. They don't do enough to prepare us for the world. I'm struggling
yeah,
to learn this world. It's very hard. And almost every day I say, damn, it was so much easier in prison. That's not a good mindset. Who thinks like that? Who thinks like
yeah.
that? But this is what they're doing to us. They're creating this reality. And then, do you want people like that living across the street? So if their argument is, oh, well, they deserve to be punished for their crime, do you want people that are mentally unstable, that have been abused and re-traumatized for years, going back and being your neighbor, living across from you? You're making people more violent. It's something needs to change. You're right. What, I don't personally know. Just what they're doing now is not working. They're contributing
Well, I
to
think
the state.
we know how to do it because we have models in like Norway and Sweden of systems that actually
Yes.
work. We
Yes.
know that our systems don't work. The reason that we do it the way we do it is because it makes people money. That's
Right.
why we do it. So we don't care. If there's a certain amount of people that are going to be institutionalized, we don't care. That's okay. That keeps a certain number of beds full.
Yeah.
So that's an unacceptable way to be as a society. And that's where we as the public need to be pushing back all the time. Like, we need everyone to say, this is not the way that we want to do prisons. We want people to get out and be able to function. Like, exactly like what you were saying, my friend that just got out, they released him. They threatened him and said, "You're lucky if we don't kill you when you get on the bus." COs were making like comments like that to him. So first of all, we were nervous. Then they put him on the wrong bus. So they put him on the bus between like midnight and 1 in the middle of the night in this, country
Uh,
area. He had
uh,
to ride all night and keep waking up at stops to make sure he got off at his. And he rode all night to get home. Like, it was a mess. And I feel like it was a mess intentionally.
More than
They don't care.
likely.
You get locked back up, you get stranded, that's fine. You know, that's the mentality that they have there. But I feel like, yeah, if we get rid of the supermaxes, I feel like that's a positive thing. And I feel like people need to be able to work their way down. My friend that got out, he shouldn't have got out straight out of Red Onion. He should have been at a step down type prison and gone through more. He did have some type of reentry program, not enough,
Right.
but I think we need to like beef that up, and then we need to let people out. And we like the thing is, like, the people that I've talked to, which is not all of them, it's not a representative sample, but the people that I've talked to, their crimes are not worse than what's being done to
Right.
them. And I think that should bother us. Like, that COs are raping people and beating people that are already shackled. That's barbaric. I have multiple friends that have been in there that are out that had like either drugs or gun charges. That's literally what they had.
And they're in supermax. Getting put in
Yeah.
supermax. Something that's
Then they did something like file 2 grievances, or um, one guy said that he said he wished he could escape. He made no attempt to escape. He said that. And then they were like, oh, we got something for you, and sent him to Red Onion. they marked him as an escape risk because
Yeah.
he said that.
Yes, something in the system has to change. So supermax is traditionally supposed to be the most violent inmates, people that can't be in general population, people that have the most severe crimes and are not safe either themselves or are a danger to other inmates. So you're telling me that people with just gun charges and drug charges are being sent to these supermax where they definitely don't belong.
Right.
You're this is worsening the problem. You made a good you brought up a good point about the prisons in like Norway and things like that, which have a lot more. It's more like they prepare you for the world. They have their cells look like apartments, and they have the lowest recidivism rates in the world.
Right.
Places like these, they have the lowest violent crime rates in the world. But then if you look at places like Mexico and Russia and El Salvador, to have the most violent, the worst prisons, the worst conditions in prisons, they have the highest violent crime rates, the highest recidivism rates. So there's a direct correlation between the conditions in prison and the recidivism in our society and the violent tendencies and the violent thought processes in the people that are in prison in this place. So we got to take notes. I'm glad you said that because it wasn't even on my mind. That was a great point. That was a great point.
Yeah, and like I've had the most infuriating conversations because I've been making a point every day, most days, like at least 5 days a week, to post about Red Onion because I want people to have it at the forefront of their mind and to be thinking about it and to be thinking about how we need to change it. And I was posting in the Prince William groups because that's where Mustafa al-Jazari's family is. So I have a bunch of, and I also feel like those are some of the power players in Virginia society. It's Prince William County, Fairfax, Loudoun. Those are some of the people who like really vote, who really have money. So I wanted to bring it to their attention, and generally it goes over well. But the last one that I put about a documentary about Red Onion, people were being so very nasty, and they were just spewing like the Fox News narrative of crime and punishment, and they were like, "These are the worst of the worst people. They're getting what they deserve." And I was like, "But number one, no, they're not, and number two, so if somebody does something bad, you think that they should be able to go and be, raped, beaten while
Exactly.
shackled, stuck in a hot shower for 2 hours, attacked by dogs. So what about the people that are enacting these crimes on them? Why is it different? You think these COs are good people in their society? I can guarantee you they're not. Like COs and police have some of the highest rates of domestic abuse.
Yeah.
And they're and act like you think they abuse people all day at work and then they go home and be great people in their communities. Like, why are we okay with that?
Good point.
And people were just arguing and arguing, and I'm like, you guys don't understand that you have fully swallowed the narrative that the media wants you to absorb, which is that whatever happens is okay and people are being punished for their crimes and they deserve whatever they get. No, they were sentenced to prison time. They weren't sentenced to torture. I
Right.
don't think most people are thinking you're sentencing somebody to 20 years of torture. If we really think that's okay as a society, I think we need to like think about ourselves. And then this one lady on there was saying like, I don't even know anyone who's a felon. And I was like, maybe they just don't tell you, or maybe you don't know anyone, because one in three people is a felon at this point.
I didn't
One
know
in three
that. Wow.
people is a felon, and 6% of people will serve time at some point in their life. And the government wants it to be more than that. They want to build more because it makes the certain people that are making money off the prison industrial complex great money. It's great money. And that's why they don't want to change it. But that's where we as a society are more people. We need to push back and be like, absolutely not. This is not a humane way to do this, and we are not okay with this.
And it
This is
starts
not
with
how you're.
awareness. Yeah, it
Yeah.
starts. No, but who would ever say, all right, think about it outside of prison. Somebody gets raped on the street. Who in their right mind would say somebody deserves this? Or somebody got handcuffed and then gotten beaten. Are you going to say, oh, well, did he deserve it? Or did she deserve it? Or did they deserve it? Did they do this? No, if this happened in society, the people propagating these crimes, unless they're police because they get away with it sometimes, not all of them are bad, but I'll just say that. We would be against it. We would rise up. So why is it justified against people just because they are serving time for crimes? That's what you would never hear on the news. Well, this person got raped in an alleyway, but they deserved it because of this or that. That's crazy to me. This is crazy thinking. It's illogical. It's not
Yep.
based.
And I had to have so many of these conversations. And my one friend, she looked at the screenshots and she was like, just protect your energy, because some people, they just want to be ignorant. But it is concerning to me, because it's like people's mentality has to change in order for things to really change.
Right.
Um, but I think sometimes it takes like having it happen to someone that you know. But guess what? That is the plan of our fascist government. So just keep going with your it's that's an other group that could never happen to anybody I know.
Right.
They're the worst of the worst. Just keep going with that thinking, and if things go as the government plans, it will. It will happen to someone in your family.
Or
You know,
themselves.
if they doubled the amount of people in lockup, it would literally affect every single person's family in America, because then we would be at
Wow.
12%.
Right. Wow.
So it's not that far away from anybody. I think this lady, when she was saying she doesn't know anybody justice involved, she's basically just saying, I only know and associate with rich white people. That's the only
And,
people that
and
I
they
speak to.
have their crimes. And I don't even think she's either telling the truth, either knowingly or unknowingly. It's probably not
Right.
factual. It's probably
Right.
not
There's
factual.
literally almost no way, unless she just stays in her house with her own
Health
family.
and her
Right.
cats.
But yeah, that's another thing why I think I mean, I know of two lawyers in Prince William County that both should have been charged with crimes that could have gotten them sent to Red Onion. Like, I know Casey Stevens, a person that the Al Jazaris had hired, he had a hit and run DUI, and they just let him off of it. Why?
On a hit and
Because
run.
he's a lawyer. But
Wow.
if he was a black man with no lawyer, he'd probably be at Red Onion or Wallens Ridge. You know, because that's a pretty bad crime, a hit and run
Yeah,
DUI.
that's like automatic. I don't know anybody that's ever not went to prison for that. That's like the worst thing to do is to drive away from a hit and run on a DUI.
And that's another thing, like Prince William County, because I there's four murders that Amy Ashworth is trying to prosecute people for. Well, one of them, the guy is already in prison now, but he didn't murder anyone, I believe. He just was called the the police were called because he was having a mental health crisis. And then they shot at him, and then he shot at them, and then they charged him with like attempted murder.
They that bothers me because
Yeah.
I like my last case was seeking help for mental health, and I ended up getting locked up, and then never got to see my dad again. My dad died on that bid, and my dad was terminally ill when I went to go get help, and my property was stolen all. And but it's not the point of that. It's just the point of they need to do better with
Mental health calls.
yeah, this is crazy to me, and it's me personally. At least I'm able to, advocate for myself. But people with my same diagnoses, how do you say diagnose? I always mess that up. But
Diagnosis. Yeah.
diagnoses, it's a difficult word for diagnoses, are not able to advocate for themselves as well as I am. And I've been in these positions, in the mental health units and all. And it's like, fortunately, I'm self-aware and I'm able to, stand up for myself. But what about the masses that are not able to do that? Because think about the ones that aren't as functional, not as high functioning. What do they
Right.
do in these situations? Stuff like that happens.
People
Stuff like that happens.
shouldn't be having to advocate for themselves if they have a mental health diagnosis, even one. They should have automatically a person making sure they're getting in the right track, like a person at the ADC. So my friend Mustafa Al-Jazari, I've only met them since he's been incarcerated, but when I heard him talking about his case, a feeling just came over me. It struck me like something is very wrong, and he did not do this crime because he was in a car accident and they're trying to say that it was intentional. And now it's come out that they're falsifying all the evidence in his case. And it's the same Commonwealth attorney that locked that guy up for the mental health call. And then there's also Breonna David in the same county. She was shot. So she went up to Pennsylvania. She was abducted. And then the abductor, for whatever reason, came back down. I guess he's from the area. And the Virginia State Police were chasing the car, and they shot the car up like 25 times. And then they put in the record, they put out to the public that they found her away from the car and she was apparently shot. But my friend was able to get body camera that shows the detective or like one of the Virginia State Police walking up to the car and they're pulling her out like a piece of meat and she's already shot, obviously, because they shot the car 25 times. So now this abductor is being charged with abduction but also murder by Amy Ashworth. But did he murder her? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it was in all likelihood them shooting up the car. So this is a third murder conviction that she's trying to put on. So what I'm saying is how I'm connecting this is I feel that there's a motivation with the CAs and the DAs to create these supermax prisoners. It's like they have some, you know how police have quotas?
Yeah.
My thought is the CAs and the DAs have quotas on how many of these people they need to get convictions on. And it doesn't seem like she's concerned with what actually happened. She's concerned with just getting that conviction. And
That,
that's
that, that
very concerning.
that's very common with DA. They just want their conviction because I've known cases that were just so cut and dry, like, whoa, this person is innocent, and then it's just like they still want their conviction because they pride themselves on a high conviction rate. No matter if their legal obligation, their moral obligation, their ethical obligation is to uphold right and wrong. Guilt and innocence. If somebody is innocent, they should not be charged. But then if something's brought in front of them, they take the case, it's they're guilty and that's it, no matter what comes out. And that's gotta I like maybe be more selective of who you put or who is put in these positions. Like what else can be done? Because this is very common. People
Right.
just automatically assume if somebody's charged with a crime that they did it.
Right.
I know plenty of people that are innocent that did 20 years. A few friends of mine that have gone out recently that were innocent that were wrongfully convicted. I had one friend that the cops told his mother, someone I associated with, told his mother, "We know he didn't do this murder, but if he don't tell us who did, he's going to jail for it." And he went to jail for 20 years. 20 years. And just
It's
recently got out.
really common. It's so much more common than people think. And I've seen studies that show that it could be at least 20%. And I'm even starting to think that it's getting higher than that because of the lack of integrity in CAs and DAs. They're just going after the first person they can find that they can pin it on. And that's not a justice system, you know,
It just
at all.
the justice system is not just. We've always said that.
Right.
It's in favor of the wealthy white, predominantly white populace, and it's not in the favor of the rest of us. You know.
And that's what was agitating me so much about the conversation. I'm like, if you don't know anybody that's ever been charged with a crime or anything, that really just says to me, like, number one, yes, you have, but
Yeah.
they got out of it. They got off of it. They went with their lawyer and made a deal. You know, something happened where they didn't get charged. It doesn't mean you don't know anybody that's committed a crime. It means you know people that were able to wiggle their way out of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Whereas people that don't have money for a lawyer, I mean, the public defenders are a branch of the state. They're paid by the state. There are some good ones, but I think that's the minority, unfortunately. And it's the same thing with like the ombudsman. Like they created the office of the inspector general created an ombudsman office, and their first priority was supposed to be to deal with Red Onion and Wallens Ridge. But guess what? I'm hearing, you know, she has connections to this and that person already, and she's paid by the state. So far, as far as we can tell, she's done nothing. You know, 4 months later, after all these self-immolations come out, I mean, she could have put out a statement. She could have said, "We're looking into this. We're going to make sure this, and this person are secure." She hasn't done any of that. So it's just like,
What
what is going on? This is a joke.
So we know what you know what to do, how to go about this. For the viewers, like me, everybody, what can we do? What can the viewers, the audience, the people that will see this, what can we do to help in this situation, like to raise awareness, to make changes to policy? Like, what do you suggest? What do you call what kind of
I
actions?
I want Red Onion and Wallens Ridge shut down. So I think we can email the governor and the director of DOC, Chadwick Dotson, to ask for the shutdown, to demand the shutdown. In the meantime, we can also be demanding better conditions and that they investigate conditions. I mean, I sent a demand letter to ask that the people involved in um, beatings of people get fired and charged. So we want to demand all of those things, and then also the
Oh, to
rally. We're
account.
going to
Yeah.
have
Right.
the rally on March 29th from 1 to 5.
March
Um,
29th.
yeah, so that's only in a week and a half at Lafayette Park. It's like right across from the White House in DC. The Al-Jazaris are going to be there, a few victims of Red Onion, hopefully some more families and people that have been affected by the DOC will be there. Anybody's welcome to come that supports the shutdown or supports, holding the facilities accountable. And also if they have their own facility, like it doesn't have to be those two. If they've been affected by a DOC prison facility or a jail in Virginia, they're welcome to come and hold their sign of whatever facility they've been wronged by. We're just focusing on those two because those two need to be closed, like just closed, like without question. But I think the awareness of the corruption and the brutality in the DOC across the board is also a good thing.
Right. Well, I thank you. I implore anybody from any state, if you're able to go to Washington D.C. and support this rally. I'm personally on paperwork, and it's not as simple as just going, or I would definitely. But you said March 29th, 1 to 5 p.m. Come and support. Thank you very much for coming, Dawn. You got to come back on whenever you have time. Like I said, as an
And I have
ex-prisoner,
a few more people that would probably talk to you that have been to Red Onion.
I would
If
love
you're
that.
interested in doing a few more of these, that would probably help us.
Absolutely.
Bridget Nicole, she's one of your followers. She said, is Red Onion a prison? Red Onion State Prison and Wallens Ridge State Prison are abusing their adults in custody grievously. So we've been talking about the conditions and then what we can do to fix them. And we're having a rally to shut down Wallens Ridge and Red Onion, and to send the message that we are not okay with treating our adults in custody this way. If you go back to the beginning of this, you can see what we talked about as far as what they've been doing, but it's like things like, you know, setting up CO rape on adult in custody, dog attacks. People have burned themselves to get to the VCU burn unit so that they can talk about what's going on. But basically, like a lot of very illegal, very gruesome treatment of adult in custodies. And we don't need these two prisons. So if you can come rally with us, that would be amazing.
Let's let's shut down these prisons, man. We can't have places like this exist. And if any other place besides going by the name of anything besides a prison, then this would not be going on. If it was anything other than a place where they incarcerated people, we would not allow this to happen.
Right.
So let's shut them down. Dawn, thank you again for coming. Please have anybody inbox me that has anything to do with this, any knowledge in the prison systems, and I want to keep, you know, I'll interview all of them and get their viewpoint. Anybody from your end as well, and hopefully you come back on as. And we'd like to thank you, like I said, for doing this, because like it's people like you. I've been in that position when they're shutting off water and people are drinking out of the toilet, but this is people like you that allow you save a lot of lives. You save a lot of lives, and thank you very much for that. So please come back. Thank you very much. Just a felon, no more. Support this rally. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Bye,
for
Dawn.
having me.
Absolutely.
Bye. Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.